No one dared touch the alien princess until she took the human's hand. The space station hung quietly above the blue and green planet below. It was enormous, a place where humans and aliens met for trade, science, and diplomacy. People from many planets moved through its wide corridors, each speaking different languages, each wearing different kinds of clothing. Yet despite all the activity, one arrival was about to change everything. The announcement came over the station's loudspeakers. The royal ship of Princess Liara is approaching. All personnel are to maintain distance and follow security protocols. People stopped in their tracks. The name Liara carried weight across the galaxy. Her species was famous for their advanced technology, their psychic powers, and their strict rules. No one dared approach her without permission, and now she was here on a human space station. Ethan Clark, a young human engineer, was fixing a broken energy panel in the maintenance hall. He had messy brown hair, bright eyes, and a habit of talking to machines as if they could hear him. When he heard the announcement, he paused and glanced up at the observation window. Far away in the docking bay, a sleek silver ship was approaching. Its surface glowed softly, and its shape was elegant, like it had been carved by hand rather than built. He felt a strange pull in his chest. He had heard stories of Liara, of course. Most people feared her. But he couldn't help feeling curious. There was something about a person who could hold the attention of the entire galaxy without saying a word. In the docking bay, the ship settled with barely a sound. A few security drones moved closer, scanning the area, while a small group of station officials and aliens waited. Then the doors of the ship opened. Liara stepped out. She was tall and graceful, with silver-blue skin that shimmered under the station lights. Her hair was long and flowed like liquid metal, and her eyes glowed softly with a golden light. Even at a distance, she commanded attention. Every human and alien in the bay froze. No one moved closer than a few meters. They watched her, fascinated but careful. No one dared speak. No one dared touch her. Ethan stood at the edge of the bay, leaning on the railing. He could see the way she moved, smooth and precise, as if she were floating slightly above the ground. She looked around at the crowd, but her eyes seemed distant, almost lonely. For a moment she looked directly at Ethan, and he felt a strange shiver run down his spine. It wasn't fear. It was curiosity, a connection he could not explain. "Keep your distance," one of the station officers called out sharply. "She is royalty. She must not be disturbed." Liara nodded slightly, acknowledging the warning, but she didn't seem upset. Instead, she seemed calm, as if she were used to people being afraid of her. She began walking toward the central chamber of the station, followed by her guards. The crowd parted automatically. Even the alien visitors stepped back. Only Ethan stayed near the railing, unable to tear his eyes away. Something about her presence made him feel awake in a way he hadn't before. Suddenly, a loud alarm rang through the station. Red lights flashed, and an automated voice shouted, "Warning! Energy core overload in docking bay 3. Evacuate immediately!" People panicked. Some ran toward emergency exits, while others froze, unsure what to do. The station's security teams rushed to contain the problem, but the energy core was unstable. Sparks flew, and the air filled with the smell of burning metal. Ethan didn't think twice. He grabbed a tool kit and ran toward the docking bay. He knew the emergency protocols. He had worked on the energy cores many times before. His job was to stabilize them until the engineers in the control room could fix the problem. As he ran, he saw Liara frozen near the entrance. Her guards were shouting, but they were too few to reach her in time. The princess was looking around, clearly unsure what to do. Her usual calmness was replaced by a hint of worry. Ethan ran up to her. "Stay close to me," he shouted. "I'll get you out of here." Liara hesitated for only a moment, then followed his lead. She didn't touch him, but she walked beside him, keeping pace as he navigated through the chaos. Sparks flew from damaged panels, and smoke filled the corridor. People shouted orders, but no one moved close enough to help her. Ethan guided her through the smoke, checking each doorway for falling debris. He could feel her gaze on him, curious and cautious. She didn't speak, but she didn't pull away either. It was the first time anyone had seen her move without fear or formality. Finally, they reached a safer corridor near the central chamber. Ethan helped Liara step over a damaged panel and past a group of panicked workers. She moved with him, her movements careful but precise. He could sense her intelligence, her awareness, and her quiet strength. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice musical and calm. It wasn't loud enough for anyone else to hear, but Ethan caught it clearly. "You're welcome," he replied, trying to sound confident even though his heart was racing. "We need to get to a secure area until this is fixed." Liara nodded and followed him without hesitation. For a moment, the distance between them seemed smaller than it had been before. He felt a strange warmth, a sense of trust forming in a place where no one dared trust her. By the time they reached the secure area, the emergency teams had stabilized the core. The lights slowly returned to normal, and the smoke cleared. The crowd gathered again, murmuring and glancing at Liara. But she didn't step back. She stayed beside Ethan, still looking at him with a hint of curiosity in her glowing eyes. The other humans whispered among themselves. Did she just follow him? Who is he? He must be crazy to get that close to the princess. Ethan ignored them. He focused on Liara, who now seemed more relaxed. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. Her eyes reflected a mix of intelligence, caution, and something softer, something he couldn't name. "Most people fear me," she said finally, her voice still quiet. "But you are not afraid." "I'm not afraid of someone who needs help," Ethan said simply. "We all need help sometimes." She seemed to consider this. Then, without a word, she reached out her hand. It was delicate and glowing, and for the first time, she touched a human voluntarily. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him, a connection he had never felt before. Everyone around gasped. Guards froze, diplomats whispered. No one had ever seen the princess touch a human willingly. It was unthinkable. Ethan looked at her hand in his and then into her eyes. "I won't let anything happen to you," he said firmly. "I promise." Liara's lips curved slightly, almost a smile. It was brief, but it made Ethan's heart race. She withdrew her hand slowly, then rested it lightly on his shoulder, a gesture of trust that stunned the crowd even more. For a few moments, the station was silent. Everyone was watching, unsure what to do, but Ethan felt something shift. The walls of fear around Liara seemed thinner, and he felt a sense of purpose he had never had before. "Come with me," she said, her voice stronger now. "I want to see more of this station. I want to understand humans." Ethan nodded. "I'll show you everything, don't worry, I'll be right here." Together, they walked down the wide corridors. People parted automatically, unsure how to react. Aliens and humans alike whispered to each other, some in awe, some in fear. But Liara didn't hesitate. She followed Ethan willingly, trusting him in a way no one else had dared. As they moved, Ethan pointed out the various sections of the station: the hydroponic gardens, the research labs, the docking bays, and the living quarters. Liara listened quietly, her eyes taking in every detail. She asked questions, sometimes simple, sometimes surprisingly complex. Ethan answered as best as he could, realizing that she wasn't just curious, she genuinely wanted to understand. At one point, they reached a small observation deck. The stars stretched out endlessly, glittering like diamonds in the blackness of space. Liara walked to the edge and looked out, her glowing eyes reflecting the distant lights. "It is beautiful," she said softly. "So different from my world." Ethan stepped beside her, careful not to crowd her. "It is," he agreed, "but it's even better when you share it with someone." For a moment, the distance between their worlds seemed to disappear. Human and alien, engineer and princess, they stood side by side, looking out at the galaxy. Neither spoke for a while. Words were not needed. The touch of a hand, the quiet presence of trust, and the shared wonder of the stars were enough. Ethan didn't know what would come next. He didn't know if he would be praised or scolded for getting so close to the alien princess. But he knew one thing: he could not step back, not now, not ever. Liara turned to him and nodded. "You are different from the others," she said. "I see the truth in you." Ethan felt a swell of pride mixed with humility. "I just do what I can," he said, her eyes softened. "That is enough, for now it is enough." And in that quiet moment, above a distant planet, on a busy space station filled with fear and rules, the first bond between human and alien princess was formed. It was small, fragile, and secret to everyone else, but it was real. And it would change everything. After that day, the space station felt different to Ethan. Every corridor, every chamber, and every glowing panel seemed alive with possibility. Liara had allowed him to guide her through danger, to hold her hand in a quiet moment that no one else could understand. That small gesture had changed everything. Ethan returned to his usual work in the maintenance section, fixing energy panels and calibrating systems, but his mind kept drifting back to Liara. He wondered what she was thinking, what she felt, and how someone so powerful could also seem so fragile. The next morning, the station's central hub buzzed with activity. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved through the hall, trading goods, exchanging messages, and hurrying to their assignments. Humans did the same, their uniforms crisp and their eyes focused on their tasks. But the story of the princess and the human who had helped her had spread. Whispers followed Ethan everywhere he went. Some people stared, some shook their heads in disbelief, and a few smiled with admiration. Ethan did not mind. He was used to being overlooked, even ignored. He cared more about Liara and the promise he had made to protect her than the gossip of others. Liara, on the other hand, had become a quiet presence in the station. She spent most of her time in the observation deck, looking at the stars, or in the science wing where she studied the station's technology. Her guards always stayed close, but she often ignored them, moving through the halls with grace and curiosity. One day, Ethan was called to the science wing to fix a minor energy problem in one of the research labs. As he worked on the panel, he noticed a soft voice behind him. "You are everywhere," Liara said, stepping into the room. Her silver-blue skin glowed faintly in the soft light, and her hair shimmered as she moved. "I fix things," Ethan said with a small smile, "and sometimes I get to meet amazing people while doing it." Liara tilted her head, studying him. "Amazing?" she asked, her voice carrying both amusement and curiosity. "Yes," Ethan said. "You are amazing. You move like no one else I have ever seen. You think differently. You stand out." She looked at him for a long moment, then allowed a small smile to appear. "I am not used to someone seeing me for what I am instead of what they fear." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. "I don't fear you," he said simply. "I trust you. That is enough." Liara's eyes softened. She took a small step closer. "Most humans do not understand my people," she said. "They think we are dangerous, but you are different." "I am just a human," Ethan said, shrugging. "But I know what it is like to be judged. I try not to judge others the same way." For a moment they stood quietly, looking at each other. The lab around them hummed with machines and soft lights, but it felt as if the world outside had disappeared. Liara broke the silence. "I want to learn about humans," she said. "Not from books or reports, from you." "From what you see, what you feel, what you know," Ethan nodded. "I can show you, but humans are not always perfect." "I do not need perfect," she said softly. "I need understanding. That is more important." Over the next few days, Ethan spent more time with Liara. He showed her the station's living quarters, the hydroponic gardens where plants from different planets grew, and even the small recreation areas where humans relaxed after long shifts. She asked questions constantly, always curious, always thoughtful. Some questions were simple. "Why do humans sleep?" she asked one evening as they watched the stars. "Because our bodies need rest," Ethan replied. "It helps us stay healthy and think clearly." She nodded slowly, considering this. "And dreams?" she asked. "Why do humans dream?" Ethan thought for a moment. "Dreams, I think they are a way for our minds to explore, to imagine things we cannot do while awake. They can be strange, sometimes scary, sometimes wonderful." Liara's eyes glowed faintly. "That is fascinating," she said. "My people do not dream in the same way. We do not need sleep as humans do, but dreams, they sound like a window into the heart." "Yes," Ethan said, "a window into what we care about, what we fear, and what we hope for." Their conversations grew longer, and the bond between them deepened. Liara began to share small details about her life, her people, and her responsibilities. She spoke of the pressure to always appear perfect, to always maintain control, and to always be distant. Humans, she said, could afford to be messy, to make mistakes, to feel emotions openly. That was something she envied. Ethan listened carefully, never judging, always offering understanding. He told her about human fears, joys, and struggles. He spoke of friendships, love, and the courage it took to stand up for what was right. Liara absorbed every word, her eyes reflecting both wonder and something gentler, a trust that was growing with each passing day. One evening, as they walked through the hydroponic gardens, Liara paused. The lights from the artificial sun glowed softly on the green leaves. Small streams of water trickled over the plants, and the scent of flowers filled the air. "Humans create beauty even in places that are artificial," she said, touching a leaf gently. "We create because we want to, not because we must survive. That is extraordinary." Ethan smiled. "Yes, it is. We try to make life better even when it is hard." Liara turned to him, her golden eyes serious. "And you are brave. You risked yourself for me when others would not move. That is rare among humans." I only did what anyone should do, Ethan said. If I could save someone, I would, doesn't matter who they are. Her gaze softened, but many would not, many would watch and wait, you did not. Ethan felt a warmth he could not explain. Her words were simple, yet they carried weight. I could not look away, he admitted. I felt responsible, and I wanted to help. Liara's hand hovered near his arm. She did not touch him yet, but the space between them felt charged. I wish to trust humans more, she said, and I believe I can because of you. From that day, Ethan became more than an engineer to her. He became a guide, a teacher, and a companion. He did not fully understand the depth of their bond yet, but he could feel it growing. Every shared smile, every quiet conversation, every small gesture of trust built a connection stronger than either of them expected. The station was not without its challenges. Other humans whispered about Ethan's closeness to Liara. Some aliens regarded it with suspicion, unsure what to make of it. Security teams warned him not to become too involved, saying the princess's safety depended on strict rules. But Ethan refused to step back. He had seen her vulnerability and he had felt her trust. That was worth any risk. One day, a minor crisis erupted. A transport drone carrying vital supplies malfunctioned, sending sparks flying in a narrow corridor. Workers panicked and froze. Ethan, without thinking, ran toward the danger, guiding the drone away from the crowd and preventing a serious accident. Liara was watching from a distance. When the danger passed, she moved quickly to his side, her face calm but her eyes shining. You do not fear, she said quietly. You are remarkable. Ethan laughed softly, shaking his head. I just do what I must. Fear does not help anyone. She considered this, then reached out and placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. It was a small gesture, but it felt heavier than anything he had experienced. Her touch was warm, gentle, and filled with trust. No one else saw it, but Ethan felt it deeply. I trust you, she said softly. I am not afraid when you are near. Ethan's chest tightened. And I will never let anything happen to you, he said. For the first time, Liara smiled fully, a soft curve of her lips that illuminated her face. Then perhaps we can face this station together, she said. From that day forward, their partnership became visible. They moved through the station together, always careful, always respectful, but never afraid to be near each other. The bond between human and alien princess grew, quiet but strong, a symbol of trust and courage in a place where fear often ruled. And for Ethan, every day brought a new wonder. To learn from Liara, to share the human world with her, and to see her curiosity and intelligence unfold. These were gifts he never expected. And he knew that their journey had only just begun. Days passed, and the station continued its usual hum of activity, but the bond between Ethan and Liara had started to draw attention. People noticed how the alien princess allowed him close, how she spoke with him as if he were different from the others. Some were curious, some were suspicious, and some quietly admired the human who dared to be near her. One morning, the station announced a new arrival. Another alien species, known for their hostility, was docking for a short visit. Their reputation was fearsome, and most of the humans and aliens on the station felt tense. Liara's guards immediately tightened their formation around her. Ethan was in the maintenance hall when he received a call from Liara. Ethan, come to the observation deck, her voice said softly over the communicator. I need to speak with you. He wiped his hands on his uniform and ran through the corridors. When he arrived, Liara was standing by the large window looking at the approaching ship. Her hair shimmered in the light and her eyes glowed faintly. They are dangerous, she said, her voice calm but firm. Their people do not trust anyone. They may try to test us. Ethan nodded. Then we should be ready. We can handle them if they cause trouble. Liara turned to him, her gaze steady. You are brave, I have seen it, but bravery alone may not be enough. Ethan smiled slightly. I have learned a few tricks in my time. And I will not leave your side. For the next few hours, Ethan helped Liara prepare for the arrival. They checked security systems, monitored docking procedures, and made sure the station's defenses were ready. She watched him closely, fascinated by how humans worked under pressure. When the hostile aliens finally docked, tension filled the air. Their ship was dark and angular, unlike the smooth, flowing lines of Liara's royal vessel. They moved with sharp precision, and their eyes darted suspiciously around the station. Liara's guards kept a tight formation, but she moved closer to Ethan. Do not leave my side, she whispered. I won't, Ethan replied. The hostile aliens demanded an audience with the station council. As negotiations began, Ethan noticed that one of the visitors was watching Liara with a strange intensity. The alien's eyes glowed red, and there was a hardness in its expression that made Ethan uneasy. During the meeting, the alien spoke in a sharp, commanding tone. "We have heard of your princess. A human dares to approach her. Is this true?" The council members shifted uncomfortably. Liara stood quietly, her golden eyes fixed on the alien. "He is not a threat," she said calmly. "He is a friend and an ally. He has earned my trust." The alien's red eyes narrowed. "Trust? You place trust in a weak human?" Ethan stepped forward, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze. "I am human," he said firmly, "but that does not make me weak. I have protected the princess when others could not, and I will continue to do so." There was a long silence. The alien's gaze flicked between Ethan and Liara, then finally it stepped back, hissing something in its own language. Liara did not flinch. Instead, she turned to Ethan and placed her hand briefly on his arm. It was a small gesture, but it carried strength, trust, and reassurance. After the meeting ended, Ethan and Liara walked together to the observation deck. The stars stretched out before them, calm and distant, a stark contrast to the tension they had just faced. "You are very brave," Liara said softly, "but I worry for you. The more they see your bond, the more enemies may appear." "I can handle it," Ethan said. "I will always protect you no matter what." Liara's eyes softened. "And that is why I trust you. Others may see humans as weak, but you are different." Their quiet moment was interrupted by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashed, and an automated voice shouted, "Warning! Unauthorized breach in the docking bay." Ethan grabbed his toolkit and ran toward the source. Liara followed, moving swiftly despite the security team trying to block her path. The hostile aliens had sent a small team to the station without permission. They were armed, and their goal was unclear. Ethan reached the docking bay first. Sparks flew from damaged panels, and the air was thick with smoke. He could see the intruders moving cautiously, scanning the area for Liara. "Stay close to me," he shouted over the chaos. Liara nodded, her golden eyes calm and focused. She stepped beside him, her presence steady and reassuring. "I trust you," she said. Ethan moved quickly, guiding her through the corridors. He ducked under falling beams and avoided sparks that could burn through metal. Liara followed, her movements precise and controlled. They reached a control room where Ethan quickly activated the security systems. Doors closed, locking the intruders in a small section of the bay. Alarms blared, and security drones moved to contain the threat. Liara watched him work, her eyes wide with admiration. "Your mind is sharp," she said. "You think quickly even in danger." Ethan shrugged. "I have to. Lives depend on it, including yours." The intruders attempted to hack the station systems, but Ethan and Liara worked together to stop them. Ethan handled the human technology while Liara used her psychic abilities to detect movements and anticipate their actions. Their teamwork was seamless, a combination of human ingenuity and alien precision. After several tense minutes, the threat was neutralized. The intruders were captured and the station returned to normal operations. The crowd that had gathered cheered quietly, amazed at how the princess and the human had handled the danger together. Liara turned to Ethan, her eyes glowing softly. "You are remarkable," she said. "Not just for your courage, but for your mind, your heart, your spirit." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. "I only do what I must. I want to protect you." "And you have," she said. She reached out and took his hand, holding it firmly. The gesture was not just of trust, but of partnership. In front of everyone, she chose to be close to him, showing that their bond was real. From that day on, whispers on the station changed. People no longer saw Ethan as reckless for being near the princess. They saw him as brave, intelligent, and worthy of her trust. Even the aliens who had doubted humans began to reconsider their assumptions. Liara and Ethan continued their daily routines, but danger seemed to follow them. Sabotages, minor attacks, and tense negotiations reminded them that the galaxy was not always safe. But each challenge brought them closer. Every time Ethan protected her, every time she trusted him, their bond grew stronger. One evening, as they walked through the quiet corridors of the station, Liara spoke softly. "I have seen many humans, but none like you. You do not judge me. You do not fear me. You understand me." Ethan looked at her, his heart steady. "I do not need to understand everything. I just need to trust you, and I hope you trust me too." Liara smiled. "I do, more than I have trusted anyone." They paused near the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly, and the station seemed calm for the first time in days. Ethan reached out and held Liara's hand gently. She allowed it, not as a princess commanding respect, but as someone choosing to share trust and connection. In that simple gesture, they both understood something important. It was not only bravery or intelligence that mattered in the galaxy. It was trust, loyalty, and the courage to stand together when everyone else hesitated. For Ethan, every day with Liara was a lesson in patience, courage, and understanding. For Liara, every day with Ethan was a lesson in humanity, in connection, and in the strength that comes from friendship and trust. The station continued its daily hum, and life went on. But for the first time, humans and aliens alike could see that bonds could form in unexpected ways, even between the most different of beings. And the bond between Ethan and Liara was growing stronger with each passing moment, preparing them for challenges the galaxy had yet to send their way. They walked together toward the center of the station, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next. The station was quiet in the early hours. Most humans and aliens were resting, and the corridors hummed softly with the low sound of machinery. Ethan was in the maintenance hall, checking the energy panels that kept the station running smoothly. Liara had requested his presence to help her review some of the station's defense systems. She arrived quietly, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly in the soft light. Her long hair shimmered as she moved, and her golden eyes watched him closely. "Ethan," she said softly, "I feel unease. Something is approaching the station. I cannot sense it clearly, but it is close and dangerous." Ethan looked up from the panel. "How close?" he asked. "Very close," Liara said. "I cannot see their full strength, but they are powerful. They may attack soon." Ethan felt a surge of concern. "Then we should prepare immediately, lock down the station, alert the crew, and get everyone to safe zones." Liara nodded. "Yes. But I want you with me. I do not wish to face this alone." Ethan smiled slightly. "I would never leave your side." Together they moved through the corridors. Ethan directed the human crew to secure areas, while Liara used her psychic abilities to detect threats and guide the station's automated defenses. Every step was tense. Every sound, every movement felt like a warning. As they reached the central control room, the station's alarms blared. Red lights flashed, and the automated voice repeated, "Warning, unauthorized vessel approaching, prepare for attack." Ethan's heart pounded, but he stayed focused. "Liara, stay behind me. I'll handle the controls. You watch for danger and guide the defenses." "No," Liara said firmly. "I will not hide while my people and friends are in danger. We face this together." The view screen flickered, showing a massive ship approaching the station. Its design was sharp and menacing, unlike any Ethan had ever seen. It radiated power, and the glow from its engines lit the surrounding space in a harsh, cold light. Ethan glanced at Liara. "This is serious," he said. "Yes," she replied, "and it is why we must act quickly." The hostile vessel fired its first warning shot, sending energy pulses toward the station. Ethan and Liara worked in unison. He manipulated the station's controls, rerouting power to the shields and opening defensive turrets. Liara extended her hands, her psychic abilities sensing the movements of the enemy. She could predict where the next attack would come and guide Ethan to adjust their defenses. The energy pulses hit the outer shields with a loud hum. Sparks flew along the walls of the control room, and the floor vibrated beneath them. Humans and aliens watched in awe as Ethan and Liara coordinated, their actions precise and synchronized. One of the enemy's drones broke through a weak section of the station's outer hull. Ethan saw it and quickly activated a containment field, but it was too fast. Sparks shot out, and debris scattered across the floor. Liara moved instinctively, reaching out and using her powers to push the drone back. The force of her psychic energy sent the drone tumbling across the hall. "You are incredible," Ethan said, eyes wide. "I have never seen anything like that." Liara shook her head slightly. "We must focus. There is more danger coming." The enemy ship fired again, this time directly targeting the station's energy core. Ethan's stomach tightened. If the core was damaged, the entire station could collapse. He grabbed Liara's hand. "We need to do this together," he said. Liara nodded, and their hands glowed faintly where they touched. She placed her other hand on the energy core controls, and Ethan guided her movements, adjusting the station's systems in unison. Sparks flew around them, the room shook, and smoke filled the air. But neither of them hesitated. They worked as one, combining human skill with alien power. Minutes felt like hours. The enemy continued its assault, relentless and precise. Ethan and Liara moved quickly, reacting to every change, anticipating every strike. Their bond, their trust, and their courage were tested to the limit. Finally, with a last coordinated effort, the energy core stabilized. The enemy's ship was damaged by the station's countermeasures, and it slowly retreated. Alarms continued to sound, but the immediate danger had passed. Ethan slumped against the control panel, exhausted but relieved. Liara stood beside him, her glowing eyes softening. She placed her hand on his arm. "You were brave," she said softly. "You risked everything for me and for this station." "I could not do anything else," Ethan replied, his voice tired but steady. "You trusted me and I had to protect that trust." Liara's lips curved into a small smile. "Trust is rare, Ethan. You earned mine." Today, more than ever. The crew cheered quietly, amazed at what they had witnessed. Humans and aliens alike had seen the princess and a human engineer work together to save the station. It was a moment that would be remembered for years. After the chaos settled, Ethan and Liara walked through the station, checking on the injured and ensuring the systems were stable. Their hands brushed occasionally, a small connection in the midst of exhaustion. They did not speak much, but their presence reassured each other. Later in the observation deck, they sat together quietly. The stars stretched endlessly before them, calm and distant, a stark contrast to the violence they had just faced. "You were amazing today," Liara said softly. "Even when others might have fled, you stood strong." "You faced danger without hesitation." Ethan shook his head. "I could not have done it without you. Your guidance, your power, it made all the difference." She looked at him, her golden eyes glowing warmly. "Then we are stronger together, humans and aliens side by side. We can face any challenge if we trust each other." Ethan smiled. "I agree, and I will always be by your side, Liara, no matter what comes next." Liara reached out and took his hand, holding it firmly. It was not just a gesture of trust, but of partnership, courage, and understanding. In that moment, they both understood something important. Strength was not only in power or skill. It was in trust, loyalty, and the courage to face danger together. The next days were quieter, but the threat they had faced left an impression. Humans and aliens alike spoke of Ethan's bravery and Liara's wisdom. The bond between them became a symbol, showing that courage and trust could overcome fear and prejudice. Ethan continued his work, maintaining the station and assisting Liara whenever she requested. They shared quiet conversations about life, courage, and the galaxy. They trained together, learning from each other's strengths. He learned more about her people, their abilities, and their perspective on the universe. She learned more about humans, their creativity, resilience, and hearts. One evening, while walking through the hydroponic gardens, Liara stopped by a small fountain. Water trickled softly, and the glow from artificial lights reflected in the pools. She turned to Ethan, her expression serious. "Ethan, the galaxy is vast and dangerous. What we face today may only be the beginning. I need to know, will you remain by my side no matter what comes?" Ethan looked at her, taking her hands gently in his. "Always, I will never leave you. We face this together, princess, always." She smiled, a full, soft smile that lit up her face. "Then we are ready. Whatever comes, we face it as one." From that day, Ethan and Liara were inseparable. They moved through the station together, learning, teaching, and protecting each other. Their partnership became known throughout the station, a symbol of courage and trust between species. Even in the quiet moments, when the stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation deck, they felt the bond between them grow stronger. They had faced danger together, and they had survived. They had trusted each other when the world seemed uncertain, and that trust would carry them through anything. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown threats, but Ethan and Liara knew one thing. Together, they were stronger than any enemy, braver than any danger, and capable of facing anything the universe could throw at them. And in that quiet strength, in that shared courage, they both understood that their story was only beginning. The station was calm in the early morning, but Ethan knew that peace rarely lasted for long. The recent attacks had reminded everyone that danger was never far in this part of the galaxy. He walked through the corridors, checking the energy panels and the defensive systems, his mind half on the work and half on Liara. Liara was waiting in the observation deck when he arrived. She was looking out at the stars, her golden eyes reflecting the endless expanse of space. She turned when she saw him and her expression softened. "Good morning," she said quietly. "Good morning," Ethan replied, walking beside her. "Do you feel ready for today?" Liara nodded. "I feel ready because you are here, but I sense something is coming, stronger than before." Ethan looked at her, concern crossing his face. "Then we face it together like always." She smiled faintly, reaching out to take his hand. That simple touch had become their quiet strength, a reminder that they were not alone. Together they could face anything. The warning came soon after. Red lights flashed and the automated voice rang out, "Alert. Hostile fleet detected in Sector 7. Prepare for combat." Ethan and Liara exchanged a glance. The fleet was larger than any they had faced before, ships moving with speed and precision. The station's defenses would be tested like never before. "Ethan," Liara said, her voice steady, "we need to act quickly. I can guide the shields and defenses, but you must coordinate the crew. Timing will be everything." "I understand," Ethan said, taking a deep breath. "Let's do this." They moved together through the control center. Ethan gave orders to the human crew, activating shields, redirecting power, and preparing defensive drones. Liara extended her hands, her psychic energy scanning the enemy fleet, anticipating their moves and guiding Ethan to the best strategies. The first attack hit the station with incredible force. Energy blasts slammed into the outer hull, shaking the corridors and sending sparks flying from control panels. Ethan worked quickly, stabilizing the shields while Liara directed the station's automated defenses. One of the enemy ships broke through a weak section of the station's defenses. Ethan noticed it immediately and activated the countermeasures. Liara extended her power, using it to push the intruder ship away from the station. Together they moved with precision, combining human ingenuity and alien strength. The battle raged for hours. Explosions rocked the station, and alarms blared continuously. Yet Ethan and Liara never faltered. They moved as one, communicating without words, anticipating each other's actions, and trusting each other completely. During a brief pause in the fighting, Ethan noticed a small group of enemy fighters attempting to reach the central energy core. "Liara!" he shouted. "They're targeting the core." She moved instantly, her power radiating outward. "I see them," she said. "We cannot let them succeed. Follow my lead." Ethan grabbed her hand, feeling the strength and focus flowing through her. "Together," he said. "Together," she echoed. They ran toward the core, dodging falling debris and sparks. Liara used her psychic abilities to push back enemy drones, while Ethan repaired damaged control panels and reinforced the shields. The combination of her power and his skill created a barrier the intruders could not break. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the enemy fleet began to retreat. The station's defenses held, and the energy core remained intact. The alarms slowly ceased, leaving only the hum of the station and the soft glow of the lights. Ethan and Liara stood together in the control room, breathing heavily but relieved. They looked at each other, their hands still clasped, both aware of the trust and bond that had carried them through the battle. "You were amazing," Liara said softly, her voice full of admiration. "Your courage, your skill, I could not have done this without you." "You were incredible too," Ethan replied. "Your guidance, your power, it saved us all. I only helped when I could." She reached out and rested her hand on his shoulder. "No," she said. "You did more than help. You stood by me when no one else would. You proved that humans are not weak. You proved that trust and courage matter more than fear." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. He had never expected to hear such words from a princess, let alone an alien one. "I will always stand by you," he said firmly. "No matter what comes next." Liara smiled fully this time, a gentle, warm expression that lit her face. "Then we are ready," she said. "Whatever the galaxy sends, we face it together." After the battle, the station's crew celebrated quietly. Humans and aliens alike spoke of Ethan's bravery and Liara's leadership. The bond between them had become a symbol, a story of trust, courage, and partnership that others would remember for years. In the days that followed, Ethan and Liara spent more time together. They explored the station, shared quiet conversations, and trained for potential dangers. Their trust grew stronger, their bond deeper. Every gesture, every shared glance, every touch of a hand reminded them that they were not alone. One evening, they walked through the hydroponic gardens. The plants glowed softly under the artificial lights, and the sound of water trickling from small fountains filled the air. Liara stopped near a pool, her golden eyes reflecting the soft light. "Ethan," she said quietly, "I have faced many challenges in my life. I have learned to be cautious to keep my distance. But with you, I feel something I have never felt before. I feel safe, understood, and trusted." Ethan took her hands in his, holding them gently. "And you have taught me many things as well," he said. "About courage, about trust, about strength. You have shown me that even the most different beings can work together, care for each other, and face the universe as one." Liara smiled, her eyes softening. "Then we are a team," she said. "Not just for the station, but for each other. Wherever the galaxy takes us, we face it together." Ethan nodded. "Always, I will never leave your side." For a long while, they stood together, hand in hand, watching the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown dangers and possibilities. But they no longer felt fear. They had trust, courage, and each other. That was stronger than any enemy. Days turned into weeks, and the station returned to normal routines. Humans and aliens worked side by side, but the story of Ethan and Liara became a quiet legend. It was whispered in corridors, told in mess halls, and admired from observation decks. People spoke of the human who had dared to trust the alien princess, and of the princess who had chosen to trust a human in return. Ethan and Liara continued to explore, learn, and protect the station together. They shared quiet dinners, long walks through the gardens, and hours of conversation under the stars. Their bond was no longer a secret, but a testament to what courage and trust could accomplish. One evening, as they watched a distant star rise over the horizon, Liara turned to Ethan. "Do you know what I have learned?" she asked. "What?" he replied. "That strength is not in power alone," she said. "It is in trust, courage, and the willingness to face fear together. You have shown me that humans are capable of greatness, and you have shown me that we can be equals, partners, and friends." Ethan smiled. "And you have shown me that even the most powerful beings need trust and connection. Together, we are stronger than anything the galaxy can throw at us." Liara reached out, taking his hand and holding it firmly. "Then we face the future together, Ethan, always. I will always be by your side," he said, his voice steady. "No matter what comes, no matter what challenges, no matter what dangers." The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to their bond. And for the first time, Ethan and Liara felt that no matter what the galaxy held, they could face it together. Their story was no longer just about fear and caution. It was about courage, trust, and the bond between two very different beings who had chosen to stand together. The human and the alien princess had proven that even across worlds, understanding, friendship, and loyalty could overcome anything. As they stood hand in hand, the station calm around them and the stars shining in the distance, Ethan and Liara knew that this was only the beginning. Together, they would face the unknown, protect those who needed them, and continue to show that courage, trust, and heart could change the galaxy. And so, with hands clasped and hearts united, they stepped forward into the future, ready for whatever came next, stronger together than they had ever been apart.